Good evening, folks. Yeah, I had somebody knock on the door just as I was getting ready to press the live button, so I'm a little bit late today. Hello, if you're watching along, who have we got in at the minute? We've got Reese, we got Tim. Hello, Reese and Tim. And another shout out to Reese for being, your name's just rolling across the bottom there, as one of my patrons. Oh no, I need to stop that. There we go. Oh, something I forgot to do. Mute that. Yes, Maurice, your name's going across the bottom as one of my second middle tier patrons, so shout out to you. And if you become a patron during the show, my phone might go off and ping. You'll get a shout out at the same time. I actually have a message there, actually. What's this? What's going on? Oh, I got something going on there. I'll see what that is in a little while. Yeah, so tonight we've got just finishing off these 3 Dev Company guys here. There are 6 left on the shelf that I need to do at some point. And once we get these guys finished, it'll be up to whoever's watching at the time to shout out what they want me to do next, which is for the big 2K build. We'll get on with that. What do we have left? We've got a tank and we've got 2 other squads that need choosing, so it'll be up to you guys, but we'll get these guys done, and I hope that the camera's in a decent place today, so you should get a really good view about what I'm doing. So I think that's enough chatting today, actually. I think if you got any questions, obviously, shout them out in the comments. And yeah, Reavers, yes. I know that's your choice, Reese. And okay, so I'll tell you what the choice is now. It will either be some more Dev Company, which will be another 3 Dev Company guys, a squad of 5 Reavers, a squad of 5 Intercessors, or a Whirlwind tank. That's the choice. The Reavers, and Intercessors, I don't know whether I'll get them done in the hour, and I certainly won't get a tank done within the hour and a half or whatever. So we'll see what happens. All right. So if there's a choice. If the choice is available, if I don't stop waffling and get on with these 3 guys, that's what we'll do. Alright? So, right, we're going to get on with it. So, here we go. So, hopefully the camera's in a good place, and you'll be able to see what's going on nice and quickly. Now, there isn't actually a lot left to do with these guys. I'm just going to finish off the jump packs, add a few highlights to these guys, bit of dry brushing, and we're pretty much done. And keep your eyes out on the channel for the future if you wish to see how I do my jump packs. There is a video on its way, and there will be a shout out there to if you hit Instagram Hive Fleet Horror. That's where I definitely get my inspiration for doing my bases there. I'll do a video about that, and in that video will be a link to him. Music is too loud. What music? I never actually got that ready. I never did the music. Oh, hello, there it is. Oh, hang on a minute. Right, let's have a look. Music is too loud. How's that? I've kind of halved it. I didn't realise the music was still going. I didn't think it would work. I never got around to doing it. How's the music now? Is it quieter now? Is the music okay? I know there's a delay, that's why I stopped talking. I'll wait to see if there's a reply. Music is still too loud. Is it still too loud? Alright, I'll tell you what, let me just let me kill the music for tonight. Alright, we'll kill the music, and we'll play around with that at some point. I might put some music actually on in my house. The trouble is I've got to worry about that was some free music. Kevin MacLeod. Excuse me. Oh dear, I think it's a peanut. Hang on. That's some Kevin MacLeod music. Oh dear. Excuse me. So yeah, I'll have to play around with that in the future, and we'll see if we can. Maybe I'll string some music together and make a 6-hour piece of music or something, and we'll play around with that in the future. I didn't get around to doing a test shot this week to try and get that done from last week, so I'll see if I can get that done. Alright, so after that, I think the music should have stopped now, so hopefully. I mean, if I can't listen to it. That's the biggest problem with streaming, you can't listen to it. Right, so where was I? I was, right, I'm just, yeah, I was talking about the jump packs, wasn't I? Keep your eyes out open on the channel, there will be a video for jump packs. And I'll link my inspiration and everything for in there. And there is another video for how I do my bases, or certainly my desert bases. I've got plans for lots of videos in the future, just needs to get time to get them done. But this 2K build is kicking my butt, so... Is it still on? It's still on. There shouldn't be any music on anymore. Right, hang on. Right. There we go. That should have killed it. That should have killed it completely. And if I didn't kill it, I'm just gonna give up. Right. Okay. So let me know if it's still on, and if it is, I'm just gonna put my head through a window. Alright, so other than that, we need to get started. There we go. Yay, I take it it's finished. Alright, okay, so here we go. Right, so what I'm going to do, right, so we need to, we're going to do some final highlights quickly, just to touch these, touch the black up on these guys. We've got some dry brushing to do, tidy the bases, and finish off the jump pack exhaust, and that's about it. So, we'll get on with that now. So after that little fiasco, we can actually get started on tonight's planned broadcast. And then, as usual, any comments? Oh dear. Let's turn that down a little bit. Any comments, questions, suggestions, throw them in during the course of the show. Or even afterwards if you want. I was thinking actually about putting up a post on Facebook where I was going to ask you, what are you painting tonight? And it'd be nice to be able to for you guys to tell me what you're working on, but you can't really show what you're working on in YouTube comments. So I was thinking about sticking up a post on Facebook. 2011 called, yes, you did indeed. Sticking up a post on Facebook where you could actually upload a picture, but the trouble is, obviously, if I started doing that, it then takes you away from you know, YouTube. So you kind of have to stop watching to post a video, post a picture, and then try and come back again and time it so that I actually see what you've posted. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know if that'll work, but that's something I'm thinking about, so that you could be a bit more interactive than a few than if just some words on the screen. A Castilian Night, yeah, it is. And actually, I was I think I took a leaf out of your book, Reese, today, and while I was getting these guys done, actually, I was listening to some lore. I think I was listening to 40k Theories. Is that one that I was listening to? And that was quite interesting, listening to the way he says tyrannids, I think he said. But then also, as I started watching, there was one that was really long, and I don't know which. I don't know what the YouTuber. I don't know what channel that was. About the history of from, you know, ancient Earth all the way up to, you know, the Horus Heresy. And I think did they say in there the Castellan Knight is a completely automatic knight. There's no driver or anything. It's just an automaton. I thought that was really cool. And I genuinely, until today, I really didn't have any idea just how old the knights were. Oh, I need to get my arch. I don't know which one it was I was listening to. It does have a pilot. You're nothing at the moment, watching on the TV, but working on a dread something. I suppose this looks really cool on the TV though, isn't it? Nice and big on the TV. I can't remember which knight it was he said that didn't have a pilot. Or some sort of... I don't know, it was one of them. I think it was a Forge World one anyway. Didn't have a pilot. Otherwise, I was just sitting there listening to lore while I was watching, while I was painting these guys. It was quite nice actually doing that. I've been watching a lot of Netflix, and that was kind of getting a bit boring. I've pretty much got through all of my film series that I usually watch when I'm trying to pass the time. Yeah, Knights predate everything. It was ridiculous. I was watching that. But apparently the Knights were built by the by people as they were going out into the galaxy. They were building Knights so that they could protect the colonies or something as they were heading out into the galaxy in the first place. Because obviously they couldn't fly, they didn't use the warp or anything, so they started taking the ships apart, building their colonies and constructing these massive knights to help protect them. It's awesome. I love it. It's funny how much lore you can accumulate and kind of knowledge you can accumulate when you're not even concentrating on it. You're just sitting there listening to it. Yeah, it was brilliant. I can't remember what channel it was I was watching actually. I've got it here somewhere here. Actually, it was what channel is it? Lutin09 or something. Just listening to that. It's about an hour and a half long of just listening to, you know, the history of the human race from, you know, the birth of the Emperor all the way up until, you know, the Horus Heresy. It was really fun listening to that. I didn't realise just how much I managed to take in, even while I wasn't actually concentrating. You know, I'm concentrating on painting these guys. Yeah, I'm still listening to it. I'm still taking it in. And I do notice actually when I've got a lot more done today listening to that than I did do, you know, watching Netflix or something, you know. Right. So those done. There's a video coming up with those if you didn't hear that because of the damn music. There's a video coming up on how I do my jump pack exhausts, and also a link will turn up to where I get my inspiration from for those. Of that show, yeah. I mean, I could probably throw it in there somewhere. I can possibly where was it that I was, let's have a look. If I go back, will this work? I don't know if this will work, because I don't think it should stop me from doing that. There we go. That's what I was watching earlier on today, which was like an hour and something long. It was a ridiculously long video. I could probably put a link in it once I've finished the show in the actual description as well, if anybody ever watches this after it's live. Not that I think many people do. Did I get the right one? Yes, I did. Right. So what we're going to do now, so I'm just going to pop in a few of these fine highlights on the without making a mess on the corners here. Try and do it without. Where's the there? What's it doing over there? Right. Concentrating again, so I've gone quiet. Just popping in just some real fine well, wolf grey for my Vallejo colour, but I believe it's Fenrisian grey GW paint. Just popping in some of these just to catch some of these edges that disappear amongst the rest of the black. So while I've got some viewers sitting here watching along, why don't we talk about the future of what you could see on the channel? I mean, have anybody got any ideas of what they want to see in terms of I want to say paint. I don't want to say painting tutorials, but they pretty much are. Of techniques that you want to see in video form, and how I do it or how I interpret something. I've had an idea of doing some bases. I mean, that's where my studio started. I wanted to sell painted bases to people, but they didn't really take off. But it's where I really enjoyed painting. It's what really pushed me to get better. So I got some bases ideas. I got some Martian soil ideas and various things like that. Weathering, right? So I got the weathering for the vehicles. I've done that. I don't tend to weather very much. I do some dry brushing. One of the things I do when I'm dry brushing is when I've finished a model, and in fact you'll see it on the desert based video that will be coming out soon. One of the easiest ways to weather a model, and if I grab one of the ones that I've already done, let's have a look at one that really kind of stands out. Yeah, this one here. This one will do. So this is one you haven't seen on the channel yet, on on any of the pages yet. One of the easiest ways to weather a model and make it look dusty is by when you're dry brushing a base, if you're using, even if you're using sand or crackle paint or whatever, if you dry brush out, when you're dry brushing, just come up the legs a little bit, and on the first dry brush, just quickly touch the whole model, and it'll give the whole thing a dusty appearance with what looks like dry earth, and it just ties the two together, ties the model, which you've evidently painted separately, with the base, and it ties the two together, and also adds a little bit so that they're not completely crystal clear and perfectly clean. But I'll try and learn some other weathering techniques as well in the future, and I'll show you what I find, some chipping and so on and so forth. I've heard some things about using salt weathering and stuff. I wanted to give that a try, but I've never. What have I got? I've got a Chaplin Dread. I bought it last chance to buy from Forge World, which I'm actually going to paint as a Death Company Dread. So I might try some salt weathering or some other sort of weathering techniques on there. So weathering. Anything else? See, I'm always stuck for ideas about what to do. You know, I get the camera out and I just sit there and paint. So when you're doing a video, you really have to think about what it is you're filming, so you kind of know what the thing's going to look like when you're done. So it's a bit difficult just to kind of make it up as you go along. Which is how I pretty much like living life, to be honest. I just make it up as I go along. Right. Oh dear, I'm getting a bit sloppy at the minute. I'm not really concentrating. Better get back in there and tidy that up. Oh, non-metallic metal. You see, that's a tough one, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not too fussed about non-metallic metal, to be honest with you. You know, if I've got metallics on a model, I'll paint them with metallic paint. So I might do non-metallic metal, but that will be a long time in the future, because I'm in no rush to really learn how to do it. But the metallics, what do you mean by metallics though? I mean, what, how to paint, you know, gold with, you know, metallic gold paint? Yeah, it is a little bit. Non-metallic metal. I mean, obviously, non-metallic metal is. It does look good when you do it right, and it is. It does show off, you know, your painting technique and your skill as a painter. And it's all right if you're doing a competition piece. And you're taking pictures of it and you look at it from one angle, but the trouble is non-metallic metal doesn't work from another angle. You kind of, once you've done it, when you're painting your metallics, you'll pick an angle in which the light is coming from, and you will paint accordingly. And usually the light is coming in from an angle that you would look at the model and think naturally, right, the light is going to come from this angle, and you paint it from that way. But then once you turn the model round, the light's in the wrong place, and so the highlights don't work, and so it starts looking a bit weird because it just looking streaky because your light's in the wrong place, and your non-metallic metal doesn't quite look so good. Well, I could do a video about highlighting. I think, Tim, didn't you mention it the other day, last week, about seeing a video about highlighting or edge highlighting or something like that? It's pretty much what I'm doing now, but I'm doing a really rough job of it. Too busy talking. So doing a video about that would be kind of cool. Although most of the highlighting I did on this thing was via dry brushing anyway, and you'll see me do that when I start the next models. With commission painting, you haven't got time to be edge highlighting out absolutely everything. It just takes far too long, especially to do it properly. So even then, I'm trying to find the right angle to do some of this stuff, and you can't really see it. Ironically, actually, edge highlighting is pretty much like dry brushing. Highlight video is always a good idea. Yeah, I think I will do. Ironically though, like I was just saying, is edge highlighting is pretty much just like dry brushing. You're just doing it slightly different. I mean, I've found that I find edge highlighting a lot easier once the paint starts drying on the brush, and you're just catching the edges with the edge of your brush. I mean, it's essentially the same principle as dry brushing, and you're doing it a lot quicker when you're dry brushing it. There's really not much difference. But yeah, I'll stick that on a list at some point, edge highlighting. And I do have my pièce de résistance. One of the bases I do, and I'm really chuffed with it, and I'll do a video with them because I do just want to show them off. Is I do a really mean industrial base that pretty much does all the work for you. Yeah, I mean, non-metallic metal. Yeah, I mean, when you know what you're doing and you've done it really well, yeah, it looks amazing. And you can tell why those sorts of people that do that, they win, you know, golden demons for doing it. But even the best non-metallic metal models, I mean, you only ever see them in pictures, you know. But if you ever see a model that's done that way in real life, and rather than looking at it from the front, look at it from a different angle, you'll notice that it doesn't quite look right. And yeah, non-metallic models look fantastic when you're doing, you know, a display piece, or if you're just going to be taking a picture of it. But as soon as you look at it in real life and look at it from a different angle, nah, it's not that great. Which is why I prefer my true metallic metal colours, and just try and do them to the best of my ability. Because that way, you know, it doesn't matter what angle you're looking at it, it's metallic, and you can tell it's metallic, and it will always be metallic. And that being said, actually, one thing I do want to say, there seems to be a massive insurgence of people wanting to do non-metallic metal. But if you ever have aspirations of being, you know, an award-winning painter, I wouldn't necessarily think that non-metallic metal is the only way to do it. you know, you can win award-winning, you can win awards by using, true metallics. Because at the end of the day, as long as you paint well, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter how you do it. As long as you do it well, you can win awards with doing it. It's not one of those. It's not one of those things that your metallics have to be non-metallic. Yeah, it will. It will definitely die off until the next thing. I mean, I haven't been in the hobby long enough to know firsthand, but apparently, even what I'm doing right now, edge highlighting, that wasn't even heard of in the 90s or the 80s or whatever it was. I saw some models of a fading effect from dark to light. Have no clue on how they did it. It depends on what you mean by fading from dark to light. If you've got like black fade to red, you can do it by various glazing techniques or airbrushing. Or if you're talking about, from like metallic one colour to another, Green Stuff World have just recently brought out some fantastic paints. I haven't tried them yet because I haven't had the money to buy them, but I will do at some point. It's chameleon colour changing paints, and I think you blend them together to create essentially like on a car. I can't remember what they call it, pearlescent paint. They look really good. I want to give them a try at some point, and if I do get them, I'll do a video on them as well, because I want to see how they work. I'll practice with them first so I know what I'm talking about. I have wanted to give them a try because they look like some fantastic paints, especially if you paint something such as what are they, the word bearers or something, and they got these really pearlescent red armor, especially if you play 30k. Anyway, they look really good. They could really step up your painting. Right, I think that's the highlighting done. I'm not going to go any further with that. Right, so we'll get some dry brushing done, and then these models will be done. Do a glazing video. It was black to blue on a Dreadnought. Black to blue. I mean, yeah, if you're doing it black to blue, I mean, you could probably easily do that with a with essentially just a wet blending, which I can't do yet. I mean, I do want to try wet blending and learn it. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, you can wet blend from black to blue easy enough. But glazing, glazing. Now, hang on, bear with me just for 2 seconds. Now, you might have seen this picture on this model on Facebook. It is about, and you can see it. But I tell you what, the green that you can see on the Staff of Light here. Let's turn this light off because it's too bright. Does that help? Almost. The green circles, and that was just a glaze, a simple glaze. It was literally, I painted them white and just painted Waywatcher green over the top, and they've come out really, really nicely. I do want to practice with a bit more with glazing before I do a video, but yes, a glazing video would be awesome. I will do that at some point. That's a good idea. I need to write a list. I need to get a list written. So, get me dry brushes out. Thousand Suns. Was it Thousand Suns with a metallic red, was it? I thought it was blue. But I suppose it's the same thing, isn't it? Metallic red, metallic blue, whatever. But yeah, I think the colour changing chameleon paints from Green Stuff World will give you a really good sort of pearlescent kind of look, which I would love to give a go and see how it pans out with those. I will in the future grab them, especially if they go through an airbrush as well. Oh, it is red. Oh yeah, of course it is. I'm thinking, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I'm just gonna doff my hat and just say, yep. I'll just take your word for it, because I cannot remember for the life of me. Yeah. Yeah, I wanna. If I can grab those Green Stuff World paints, and I'll give them a go and see what they are, because I have heard a lot of people saying that they're really good, but as with most new products, there's a bit of a learning curve with them to get them to look right. So yeah, I'll give that a go at some point. I think the set is about 30 or 40 euros, was it? I think. I don't know. I'll have a look. Right, this light is really getting in my way tonight. Right, here we go. So I've got a video of this coming out soon, and you'll actually see it happen live. Just dry brushing the base. You don't get to see it crackle. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the black is the marine is really, really clean, because I've just finished painting him. So what I'll do now is to tie the base and the model together. Is that as I'm dry brushing, which I'll go around the base and dry brush the whole base, just to make it a little tie in together. I'll dry brush his feet. I'll dry brush them fairly rigorously, including anything that happens to be on his feet, which will give him a kind of a dusty kind of look. And then I'll move up the model and just quickly pass the dirty brush across the model, ever so gently. Well, not gently, but just quickly, just to catch any paint off the brush. This is Eldar flesh, so it just gives him, just takes off any sheen, takes off, and just generally makes him whoops, let's see if I can get both of them together. I don't know if it comes out very well, but it just makes him a little dusty, as opposed to, you can kind of see here that this is a nice clean black, and that's just a little dusty, really. And that's the effect I'm looking for. It stops him from being so perfectly clean all the time, and it just ties the model and the base together as into one cohesive model, as opposed to a nice clean model on a dirty base. Whatever. It's the same as if I was doing things like mud and things like that. You don't want your model to look like he's just sat or stood on top of mud. You want him to be dug in the mud. You want the mud to be up to his knees because he's fallen over, or just generally wading through the mud, and explosions go off next to him and it just makes him grubby. You're not going to come out of a muddy field perfectly clean. Your feet are going to be covered, shins, and just generally it's going to be grubby, especially if you've been fighting a war on said muddy field, or in this case dry, dusty desert. So there we go. Moving on to this one. Do that. So who have we got? How many people have we got watching at the minute? Have we just got? Well, we've only got the two of you in the comments. Not unless anybody wants to chime up. So we're pretty much finished here. So the consensus is that we're going to move on to the reavers next. Is that what we're going to do? Because we're almost finished here. I'm just going to tidy up, just dry brush the base, and then move on to tidying the base up, and then we're done. And before I see any answers to that question, pro tip: don't clean your dry brush, move straight onto the next model, next paint, which in this case will be Tyrant Skull. So I'm going to use the dirty brush, dip it in my dry paint, and wipe it. I may even go so far as I wipe the brush clean. I work it into the bristles over the old paint, and so it just mixes the colours together and just adds a little bit of this colour into this, so that they don't get so much of a stark transition between the two. So we have reavers on the board. Unless anybody else says any different, that's what we'll move on to next. I mean, the only other alternative is a tank, more Def Company, or some intercessors. So the reavers are possibly the most interesting, especially considering you've just seen me do some Def Company, guys. Where are we at? We're at 7:15, so we're doing alright. Now I know for a fact it doesn't matter how much of a miracle happens, we won't get the reavers finished tonight, because I'll have things like crackle paint to dry, and I'll need some transfers to put on, and transfers do take some time. Another video that I've already done that you can see on the channel, I believe. I think that is public. Right. So reavers it is then. Right. Okie dokie. What are we going? Terminator Stone is next. Still dirty brush into the paint, and again wipe that onto the kitchen roll over the old paint. That way it gives it a bit of a mix. One thing I do want to do is I do want to do a video at some point in the future. I'm really happy with something I did in the past, and you can see the picture on the Facebook page is of a what was it, a Slan priest? What was it? Seraphon priest, that's the one, from Warhammer AOS. And so by using washers and dry brushing, I managed to get a fade from dark green up to yellow without using any wet blending. It was purely washing and dry brushing. I thought was really good, a really handy technique, especially if you're doing things like feathers, and Magnus comes to mind, especially if you're doing it on that kind of scale. Painting feathers that give you, so with Magnus, what is he goes from, does he go from blue to purple with his wings on there. I really want to do a video with that. So that'll be another one that will be in the queue at some point. I'll have to buy myself one of those priests though. Right. I got something in my throat again. Right. So we're just gonna tidy this base up just by running some black around here. Black, blue, purple is the norm. What for Magnus's wings? I can't say I've really paid much attention to them. But yeah, I want to try it at some point and get some of those things. I mean, for the people that watch me, and for the people that follow me, and all sorts of things like that, I would like to start doing things like giveaways and stuff. So if I can start making videos, and maybe even just giving away the models for them that are in those videos, I think that would be quite cool. We'll see what we can come up with in the future. For starters, I'll use some of my own models though. I'll do some videos about how I'm doing that. The trouble is, when I use my own models though, and the reason why I want to buy models and just give them away, is that because I'm a Blood Angels player, and I mean, even though this is a commission, it's Blood Angels as well. If I start using my own models, you're going to start seeing a lot of Blood Angel models being painted. And I'm pretty sure after a while, just seeing Blood Angel after Blood Angel will be pretty boring for viewers. So I want to start buying models in, painting them up, do some videos with it, and then just give it away. Which is why things like Patreon and supporting the channel and getting these commissions done is so important. Just can't just give away stuff all the time. Right, final one, we'll just finish the rim. And then almost got to the end. Come on. Right. Let's just double check the rim is reasonably well painted. Righty-ho. Yeah, I think that would be alright. So they're done, there we go, right. Let's give them a moment to dry. Put them in the shot here. Well, not that you can really see much because they're slightly wrong angle to have a look. But there we go, some 3 Death Company guys finished. I do like finishing models when I'm on the a stream, because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. We're getting closer to finishing. This 2K build is currently 2 weeks overdue, so I mean, it was only a self-imposed target to get it done by the 1st of June, so it could have been worse. You know, the customer could have needed it by the beginning of July. But I wanted to give myself a challenge to see if I could get it done, and I missed it, but then there was a lot happening, so I think I could forgive myself. But it's nice to have some more models finished, and you can have a look on Instagram. Well, give me a few minutes after the feed and you can see those models finished. I'll give them a proper photo shoot sometime next week, so there won't be a high quality picture, but it will definitely be a picture on YouTube. Now, what was it I was going to do next? Was it some more Death Company, was it? Is that what we'd agreed? More Death Company, guys? I'm pretty sure. No? I suppose I'll do these then. Here we go. Reavers. Reavers, five Reaver squad. They've got the, what are they called, the bolt carbines, is that what it is? Nothing special with them. Now, I'm not sure this is going to be very interesting, because what I need to do is I need to wash them and dry brush them, and then get started on them, so we will see. We'll see how we do, but I'm running out of wash. Ah, oh, you missed, but you put a T. Ah. Oh. Oh. It now says revet. Right, here we go. Right, so which is the sergeant? Let's get the sergeant done first. Put him at the end of the queue. Right, so job number 1 is to highlight the base. Let's go recess wash these. You know, actually, I did hear somewhere actually, is if I give these a gloss varnish, when I finish basing them, I could probably recess them with the airbrush using some brown ink. Something I want to try for the future as well. That would make this go a lot quicker. So as it stands, I'm going to have to run my tiny little brush all around all of the little crevices to get the wash in there. Around his little shorts. Makes him look like a schoolboy. A lot more red. Yeah, the problem is when I'm doing a lot of models for one army. I do remember when one of the very first jobs I had as a commission artist was, well, a lot of salamanders, and I saw green for miles. Green, green, green. I think it was about 2 or 3 boxes of marines from. Well, actually, I think it was both boxes. Betrayal at Calf and the Burning of Prospero, and all of the marines from those boxes as salamanders. Oh, there was a lot of green models, and I was very, very new to commissioning, so it took me a long time to get them done. I think 6 months I think I had them at the time. So I think actually having this 2K army done in, you know, give it maybe a couple of months, considering, well, one, the quality is a lot better than it was back then. I don't think I could be too ashamed about how long it's taken me to do these, and missing my own target. I think I've done alright, to be honest with you. And you all seem to be enjoying seeing them progress. I think there's been a bit of chatter about the models in some Facebook groups. People have been recognising the fact that I've been working on them. Right. Now this is the thing. This is really annoying. So you got the choice here. Do I take the arms off and get to the chest properly, or do I do my best and paint what I can see? And when you're painting somebody else's models, that's one of the biggest problems you've got to face, is do you just paint what you can see to save the time, or do you make the effort and paint everything even though you can't see it? Now there is, need to shade that under there. I don't need to worry about the pauldrons because they'll be black. I do need to get underneath there. And actually what I do need to check up on actually is something I've noticed is these Reavers have much smaller arms here. I don't have anything covering this arm. So I just need to check up on what the deal is with markings, because that would normally be where the chapter marking go. Not chapter, sorry, the company marking would go. So I'll quickly grab my codex in a minute and just have a look at that. I'm wandering out of shot a little bit, thank you very much. I'll bring it back, and my light has dropped as well, so let's bring the light back over. Yeah, I'm wandering a bit, I'm wandering all over the place, aren't I? I've noticed actually these models are much taller, so obviously because they're Primaris Marines, so my shot isn't quite as lined up as it was with the Mark 7. So let's see if I can bring that back up. Painting everything separately does give you much better results. I will say it does, because you can spend the time and make sure everything's painted. But one thing I found out is it took me about 4 times as long to paint anything. And as it's a commission, you're spending 4 times as long painting it. Essentially you're losing a quarter of the no, 3/4 of what you could possibly earn. And I don't charge by the hour anyway, or by the day, so it was really hurting how much I could get done in the time realistically. So I had to start making sacrifices somewhere, and painting models fully built was the first thing I had to learn to do. I did used to paint everything separately, and I also used to magnetize everything. I do have a sergeant knocking about somewhere that has everything magnetized. It's tucked away in a drawer somewhere, being punished for my insanity. Right, so I'm just going to quickly grab, whoops, I've moved my camera, so you sub-assemble every piece. Yeah. I mean, if you've got, I mean, I've got some. What did I do? I have to do that. I'm gonna have to do that with some of these guys. I mean, the next the Death Company. Hang on, if I can reach them. These guys. Now, obviously, there's no way I'm going to be able to paint his chest, so I will have to remove that arm, take that off, and I can paint the rest. And likewise with this Death Company guy, both of his arms are going across his chest. I'm going to have to take them both off. But most of the time I do try and paint when things are assembled, just purely for time and speed. Now, what I am going to do is have a look at my codex to find out where markings go on a Reaver. Because normally a Reaver, well, normally a Pauldron is much bigger than what a Reaver has got. So let's see if we can find pictures of said Reavers. No, they don't have a picture, so let's hope that they have a picture further in on this in the book. What have we got? We got assaults, we got intercessors, Reavers, and they're all looking the other way. Well, that's helpful. Reavers. Right, here we go, we got some Reavers. They do have the blood drop on their arm. So I wonder if it'll fit then. Either that or I'm going to have to try and freehand it, which is not going to work. But we'll see. But what about the sergeant? Well, that's cheating. Well, that's very, very, very much cheating. So with the Blood Angels, if you don't know, a sergeant gets, I don't know if you can see that, his pauldrons are black, whereas everybody else's are red, yeah? So I'm just having a look to see if I can find a Reaver sergeant. Now we have a squad of Reavers down there. Whoops, let's get the shine off the page. Can we see what's missing? And there's only 4 of them. They haven't put the sergeant in there. So how am I supposed to know if a Reaver sergeant is supposed to have black pauldrons? Ah, there we go. Yes, he does. I found a picture now. Little dude, tucked in there. That. Oh, where is he? Tucked down there. Where is it? Where are we? There we go. And I do have to try and get a blood drop on there. Well, that's going to be fun. Right. So here we go then. Right, so let's get the red around the pauldron washed. Down in the crevice of the arm. Right. And I think that's that. Oh, almost. Reavers have got quite a bit of detail actually to them. These look like they could be quite interesting. But also very, there's going to be a few issues with these guys. Obviously they'll have the yellow helmets of their fast attack. So that's going to be interesting. Whether the yellow and the bone will look good together or not. When they first came out, there's a lot of chatter on the Blood Angel pages about what colour to actually give them to make the Reavers. We were so used to having just plain yellow helmeted attack bike units or assault squads. It's quite simple, but then they came out and gave us these skull helmed fast attack units. You might notice I'm being quite rough with the wash, not being too careful about only keeping it to the recesses, and that's because the first dry brush that I'll do is a really heavy red dry brush that will just cover up most of the issues with the wash. Pop in there. Well, this is riveting. Unfortunately, all I've got to do is highlight these guys. I can't really wash these guys. I can't really do much else. Ooh, that's interesting. Interesting ribbing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Whether that will be a different colour underneath there over the abdomen area. The trouble is, as with all of the other, with all of the Primaris Marines, you kind of have to just build them all together. It's really difficult, unless you're going to paint them one model at a time, which I think you do, Reese, don't you? You have to build the whole model, because you can't really mix and match them very well. Unlike the older models from GW, which you could pretty much just build how you want to. I mean, I know specifically with the like I mentioned earlier about the Betrayal of Calf Marines and the Burning of Prosperos. I mean, I had all of the legs on bases and I painted all of them, and then I did all of the torsos and painted all of them, and just add them bit by bit, and along the line there's just massive amounts of Marines just coming together one bit at a time. But I didn't have to worry about getting them in the right order, because every torso would fit onto every set of legs, and every head would fit onto every torso, and all that sort of stuff. But the trouble is with these new models, these Primaris Marines, pretty much, you know, you have to build each model individually, because they're not mix and match. It really bugs me. You almost feel like a lot of the modelling, you know, freedom has been taken away from you with these new models from GW. And unless of course you're confident at chopping models up, you know, these expensive plastic models that we spend a lot of money on, you essentially have to chop them up and be confident that you can build something out at the end of it. Otherwise you're stuck with models that all pretty much just look the same. You have painted the wrong torso with the wrong legs. Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, is that with Primaris Marines, yeah? Because they really won't fit any other way, so you've just got a torso just knocking around that you've just got to wait until you've done the legs for. It really does. It's really annoying. I mean, even, you know, it's not even just the box games that, you know, they want to just crank out loads of cheap Marines, but even, you know, the tactical squads of 7th edition. I mean, you could, if you wanted to paint in sub-assemblies or as in, you know, individual steps, you could literally line up all your bases, line up your 10 bases. You know, you could paint your legs and glue all them to the bases ready. You can then get all your torsos out. You could paint all of them at the same time. Then just glue them to whatever legs you fancied. And then you can do the same with the heads. With the Reavers. You did that with the Reavers, yeah. I can't remember how many parts these were. They've been sat on the shelf built for quite a time now, so I've forgotten how they come in a box. But I know it's It's definitely Reaver A, Reaver B, Reaver C. I don't like that. I want to be able to, you know, build my own units. I mean, I managed with the intercessors, with my own ones. I was able to kind of create a fairly unique set of models by pretty much giving Marines sergeant weapons and stuff, because the sergeant tends to have, you know, his arm up or his arm down, or he's got one over his shoulder, or he's pointing and that sort of thing. And you can build a fairly unique set of intercessors. But the problem with that is that, you know, once you've done that, you might be able to get 2 or 3 variations of loadouts and, you know, poses out of 2 or 3 different boxes. But once you've done that, every box after that is gonna pretty much look like one of the ones that you've already done, and that is just annoying. Mixing, yeah. I mean, if you've got multiple boxes of multiple Marines, yeah, that's the way definitely to go. But it only works with, you know, the old 7th edition Marines. With Primaris Marines, you're pretty much stuck with what they've given you. And a lot of the options and the modelling capabilities, or just generally, you think about it, you know, with the whole, you know, I've got one, the old plasma guy that's hiding his face. You know, you could never do that with a plasma marine, not with a Primaris Marine. Not unless you start chopping them up and adding bits and bending bits, and you're just generally just, you know, trashing a model to make a new one. I mean, I'm not one for slating GW all the time. I mean, I do like them as a company. I'm not going to start whining about their prices and all that sort of stuff. But they really did. They did seem to drop the ball a bit with the ability to model these guys. I'm really not sure where the idea came from, is that we'll make all of the models only appear to go together in one particular way. It never seems, it doesn't make sense. Thing is, actually, what's even worse though is, if you think about it, you know, you buy, if I went out and bought a 10-man Blood Angel Intercessor squad, if I actually built them the way that the box tells you to build them, you literally have 2 of each Marine. You have 5 Marines and you have 2 of each, and they have the same pose and they all look exactly the same. And oh, it's frustrating. You just want to shake whoever it is that designed them. You know, what were you thinking? Give us options. This is taking a little bit longer to get this wash done than I was expecting. Thought I'd have the wash done by now. Right. That breastplate there we are. Around there. There we are. Right. Absolutely, just dip that into there. Oh. Although Army Painter Quick Shade apparently is that's something else I haven't tried actually. Army Painter Quick Shade. Apparently it's just like wood stain. Right. Right. There's something I'm a bit curious about. Nobody's talking. Now, we've almost hit another record today. We've got 5 people watching at the minute. One of them's me, because I'm watching. One of them's Reese. And one of them's Tim. So, who else have we got? We've got 2 people out there who are watching, but haven't said hi. Do they want to say hi? Alright Tim, well thank you very much for joining me this week, and yeah, I'll think about a glazing video at some point. I'm going to do some research into what else I can do with glazing other than painting. Does that make sense? It did to me. But thank you for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week. Don't mind me, you know, shut it. Oh, well, that would be, so that was me, Tim, Reese, Steele. There's still one of you out there. There's still one of you out there somewhere. But it's nice to see the number growing from when I first started. Up to 5 this week, which is great. I mean, it's not like, crazy numbers, but it's nice to see some improvement. I will do, Tim. Thank you very much for joining me. With Tim's departure, I just had a quick look at the time. It's 5 to 8, so we won't be around much more. I'm not sure about how long I'm going to make you suffer me watching me just wash these reavers. I do have some dry brushing to do, so maybe that will be a bit more interesting. But maybe that's what this channel's all about. It's come for the painting, but stay for the chatting. Or at least, in my case, my waffling about whatever happens to come to my brain. Fancy facing a Castellian next week. I suppose the answer to that question would be, it depends on how easy Captain Smash would be able to take it down. Because other than that, I really don't have an answer for that. I really don't have an answer at all. The thing is, it is at Forge World night as well, isn't it? Let's clear off some of that. Yeah. I don't want to do that. Clear off some of that. There we go. I just re-wash that bit. Nope, it's still covered in water. That's better. I can kill a demon Primarch in one turn. Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't have an answer for that yet. Although, come to think of it, actually, Reese, next week will be our last, well, not our last game, but it'll be, I won't be able to have a game until 2 weeks after. I'm on holiday the week after. So we'll try and recreate the game this week, which was epic. Washing the final guy here. Finally, takes its time. once this big 2k builds out the way, I will be able to start concentrating on building up my army. We haven't got any kids in the audience tonight, I don't think, so that's okay. I don't know if you noticed that, Race, but your comment just got flagged just then, so I've let it go. But it was epic. I mean, the objective cards, they did really, yeah, you were a bit unlucky on that draw there at the end. But isn't it great though, the games that do that, you can't tell which way it's going to go. I mean, I remember when 8th edition first got released and people were talking about, well, and I'd experienced it as well, is that it literally was down to, you know, the initiative roll, and that was the end of the game. Really, the rest of it was just going through the motions. And when you can still get games where, you know, you don't know how it's going to go until you've finished the game. It's, you know, it's always better that way, you know. When it's not until the final turn, and even during, if you thought about it, even during your turn, you know, you could have been lucky, or not necessarily lucky, but even during your turn you weren't guaranteed the win or the loss. I think, if I remember rightly, wasn't it down to the fact that one guy managed to stop you from winning the game? One Primaris Marine in the centre of the table. I think you needed the aerial denial to win, didn't you? And with one Marine left standing in the centre of the table was the difference between winning and losing. I mean, you can't get a tighter game than that. So I mean, if in any game, whether you've got strong or weak, if it comes down to the final turn, and in fact even if it comes down to the final player turn, and you still don't know who is going to win or who isn't, you can't say better than that. You know, in 8th edition, I mean, the rules themselves might not be balanced, but if you can get games out like that, they've got to be doing something right. Because if the game was truly unbalanced, or if it was truly unfair, you wouldn't be able to get games that close. And yeah, I agree. I mean, some of the games, yeah, the best games I've ever had have been in 8th edition. I mean, the closest fun that I've ever had during 7th edition was a similar game, and I was up against Necrons, and it was cutting it down to, I think, a Mephiston and 6 tactical marines left on the table before I got tabled. It was a close game, and it was the one that I'd won on points. And this was when, I don't know if it still happens because we don't play long enough. But you used to roll for turns after turn 4, and I was down to Mephiston and 6 tactical marines left on the table against virtually an entire untouched Necron army because they kept coming back to life. And I was 1 point ahead. We rolled for the next turn, and luckily it was game over. Because if we'd have carried on, it would have been a Necron turn, and my army was going to be toast. That's the closest I came to that kind of fun in 7th edition. It was hard. Do you ever find, actually, when you get down to, you do that? Oh, you still rolled it in turn 6. But you find actually sometimes you actually feel not necessarily physically exhausted, because obviously sometimes, you know, physical health gets in the way for that. But sometimes you get to the end of a game like that, and you feel like you've actually had to be there. You know, you get to the end of the game, and you're just like, I am tired. You know, and that took everything out of you, not only just physically, but mentally. You know, you just generally think that it was hard work. It's like a workout. And to be honest, when you get to the end of a game like that, as long as it was close, if it was a you know, a turkey shoot one way or the other, it's not fun. But if it was a close game, and you get to the end of the game and you feel tired and you've had a workout, those are some of the best games ever. Because you feel like you haven't just sat there going through the motions. Alright. You get drained for it. Yeah, totally worth it. If it's a fun game and if you make memories out of it, it's got to be worth it, isn't it? Because yeah. Right, those reavers are now washed. It's 8:05. I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. Because speaking of getting drained, my back is hurting, and I need to start moving some of this stuff out of the way. There we go. Oh, I think I just broke my light. I'm gonna have to sort that out as well. So, yeah, thank you for joining me tonight. It's been brilliant. I've had 5 viewers today, which I'm really happy with. We finished off some Dev Company and we started the Reavers. So you'll have to keep an eye out on the Instagram feed and the Facebook feed for updates on those. And I'll stick a post up on Instagram shortly once I've ended here, and you can have a look and see what progress we made, and you'll be able to see the pictures of the Dev Company up there as well. So I will say thank you for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out the links at the bottom: Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, the Instagram feed, and all of those. If you've got any ideas about what videos you want to see in the future, stick them on any of those platforms and have a chat, and I'll get back to you, and we can do some videos in the future. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'll be back again same time next week. Again, that's another idea that people could do, is if this time of this particular day or this particular time, if it doesn't work, if the general consensus is to change it, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Alright, so yeah, thank you Reese for joining me tonight, and Steele, and Tim, who's not here, and the other person who hasn't said hello. There are 4 of you out there at the minute. Thank you for joining me this time, and I'll catch you next time. Alright, I'll quit waffling and get going. Alright, so see you later.